I found Smile Dog's biggest weakness, the blind man. Yep, today I'm giving you my raw thoughts on a particular situation. What might happen if we put the blind guy against our classic creepypasta, the Smile Dog? First question we must answer, what is the Smile Dog? The Smile Dog, from what I can remember, is an image, one single image, of a Siberian husky in, I believe, a dark room, with this toothy, shit-eating grin. And I believe its grin has human teeth, something very uncanny. If I'm not mistaken, I believe at the edge of the image there is a hand of some sort that seems to be beckoning it to the viewer of the image. There are also, I believe, variations of this image showing this dog with this reddish, more demonic form. If my memory serves me correctly, it almost looks like it's missing all its flesh. What this image is basically a photo where anybody who views this image even once for a split second is essentially stuck dealing with this demonic dog. Constantly getting nightmares of it, and it's constantly telling them to spread the word. And if they don't spread the word, that they will continuously deal with it until either taking their own life, or they do decide to share that image with others. Alright, now that we've got our basic description of the Smile Dog creepypasta, it is time to discuss the blind man. And who better to tell you this than, well, a blind man? In this section we are going to discuss here the strengths and possible weaknesses that this individual is going to have against such a creature. In this case, well, if they are completely blind, that is possibly a major strength. Due to the fact of being blind and seeing nothing but pitch black, they're not really going to be able to see the image. Thus, by technicality meaning, Smile Dog can't infect them at all. So, they're immune, right? Well, in theory. While I believe that they would technically be immune, there is one thing that we don't even know if it can affect blind people, because when they're using voiceover or a screen reader on a computer, which is a piece of technology that is used to allow blind people to listen to something describe what's going on, or reading buttons on pieces of technology, there is an option that will allow these tools to read a description of the image. What we do not know is if somebody were to hear a description, if they were like blind for example, could that also cause them to be affected? This is something that has yet to be tested. No, I am not going to be the one to test that. Somebody else can do it for me. But what about the other two categories of blindness? You've got legally blind, and then you've got low vision, also known as visually impaired. Well, being somebody who's just low vision, let's start with this one, it's almost on the opposite end of the spectrum for legally blind. Being someone of low vision could mean you can actually see the image. Thus, you'd be screwed over the same way as everyone else. Especially dependent on what type of impairment you have. Because let's say you have, I forgot what it's called, retinitis pigmentosa. If you have this, and your vision suddenly goes completely out one day, when that inevitably happens, and before that happened you viewed the image, well, needless to say you're going to have a much harder time spreading the word, making your life 10 times more difficult. Now, low vision does have a massive range and can still go into the legally blind category, which is what we're going to talk about next. But what is the legally blind category? If my memory serves me correctly, this is anyone who can range between having one eye that is completely pitch black when it comes to their vision, and, well, the highest they can have for visual acuity is 2700. Anything 20 feet away looks like it's 700 feet away. Trust me, I would know, that looks awful. Now, one major advantage about this is you are dang near practically a blind person when it comes to what you do. You can't exactly see anything on small screens, so there's a possibility that you could not be affected by this image, at least on a small screen. But if you have it large enough or zoomed in, you could possibly view this image and get affected. Thus, you'd have to spread the word. And just like with somebody who may lose their vision completely, you're still going to have a very, very tough time, as you need to make sure you have the actual image and can spread it to somebody else. It's not going to be easy. Overall, the basic strengths that a blind person would have against the smile dog is the fact of not being able to view the image as easily as other individuals. This allows them to be very much so protected from this thing. However, it almost works as a double-edged sword, dependent on the vision you have and dependent on how this image works. We don't know if getting a description of the image can actually affect you. So, for those who might get a description from voiceover, maybe they can be affected too. The other weakness being that being blind is going to make it naturally harder to actually spread the word, as you need to make sure you are using the correct image and showing it to somebody. Hopefully, they would see it. In conclusion, the smile dog is a massive threat to humanity. However, it's possible that its effects would be dampened drastically against somebody who cannot see what it needs to affect you. It's a rather interesting thought. A blind person might actually be immune to this, depending on what it needs in order to get you. It depends on how strict it is with its own rules, and whether or not the smile dog actually follows those rules. Considering it being most likely some sort of demonic entity, it is highly, highly likely that this thing will not follow those rules, and may decide to make an exception to include those who can't see. This is the worst form of accessible inclusivity I have ever heard in my entire life and existence. Either way, this is how the blind person stacks up against the smile dog, and vice versa. If you enjoy this series, then why not comment down below, who should we put the blind guy up against next? Or what? We are looking at any situation or individual thing from the horror genre.